royalty. Power to the chosen people.
He fought against Israel and took some of them captive. And Israel vowed a vow to Yahuwah and said, if you will indeed give this people into my hand, then I will devote their cities to destruction. And Yahuwah heeded the voice of Israel and gave over the Canaanites, and they devoted them and their cities to destruction. So the name of the place was called Hormah. Okay. Verse 4. From Mount Hor they set out by the way up to the Red Sea, to go around the land of Edom. And the people became impatient on the way, and the people spoke against Yah and against Moshe. Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water. We loathe this worthless food. Then, and I hate this, I don't like this translation. Anybody have a King James Version?
I do.
Okay, so, no, it's fine. I've listened to it a few times. In the King James Version, it says, we loathe this light bread.
And mine says worthless.
Worthless bread?
It's a New King
New King James? Okay, so mine says food, but it actually says, we loathe this light bread. Then Yahuwah sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many people of Israel died. And the people came to Moshe and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against Yahuwah and against you. Pray to Yahuwah that he take away the serpents from us. So Moses prayed for the people. And Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, said to Moshe, make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten when he sees it shall live. So Moses made a bronze serpent and set it on a pole, and if a serpent bit anyone, he would look at the bronze serpent and live. Okay, last part. Actually, I'm going to stop there. This is really a two-part lesson. Yeah. So this week, we're going to deal with the bronze serpent and the first part, Arad being destroyed. So the chapter starts off after mourning, and the very next thing that happens is that they go into battle, and the Canaanites and the King Arad took some of the Israelite people, and so the people pray to Yah. And they're like, Yah, give us power to win this so that we can get our brothers back, but also we're going to destroy everything. Because if you remember, part of their problem, and you'll see it later on definitely in Joshua, is that when they go places, sometimes they like to keep stuff. And sometimes they partially like to follow orders. It's one of their problems. Because Canaan would have already technically been destroyed if they wouldn't have, well, maybe if we go in, we can't beat them, and then so they're dwelling amongst people that they shouldn't even have to dwell amongst, because they're supposed to go and wipe them out and take the land. So you're reaping the benefits or the consequences of an already poor decision. Okay, so then they ask Yah, and they pledge, you let us go in, we're going to destroy him. Yah says, okay, and they do what he says to do. So you would think that the next moment would be a moment of rejoicing. The very next thing they do is complain. You got victory. You overtook the city. And the very next thing you do is say, why'd you bring us up out of Egypt, to kill us? I'm sure y'all's like, wait. King of Arad, Canaan, fought for you, won, victory. Kill you? Like, what do you mean kill you? What do you mean brought you out here to die?
Feed you every day.
Right. And so the next thing out of their mouths was they complained. So I have a lot of questions, so you'll answer the questions and I'll kind of like fill in. Numbers 21, sorry. So do you think, just based upon, and we're not inferencing to blaspheme or to question Yah in his judgment, but do you think that them complaining was worth death? No, most of the time. Exactly. Okay, so why, if they already here, okay, so a parent, I have crybaby children, they like to cry, and so you would think that because they cry so much, it wouldn't irritate me. But you would think, you should be used to it. they cry, so you should be able to ignore it. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So you would think that Yah would already know that his people was a complaining, hard-hearted, stiff-necked,
Okay,
non-compliant.
So going back to the baby thing.
Right.
If they're fed.
Right.
If they're
They shouldn't have no
changed,
reason, right?
If all their needs have been met, why are they crying?
But they don't like
Exactly.
the bread.
What?
Exactly. That's what we're into. Spoiled brat children.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
what
it's like,
right.
why are you crying?
Exactly. So
So my whole thing would be, you need to stop. I'm petting you.
so that's what so we say, oh well, death wasn't worth
They
it, but it's
tired like you tired.
right. You're complaining, and you're complaining this time, seemingly the same way. We're tired. There's no water. We want to go back to Egypt. We want to. It's like, you know what? Okay. So do you know what made Yah this mad this time? What do you think it was? What was it? Because some of this stuff they've already said. It's
Maybe
like,
that they're tired of how he's feeding them.
okay, that's a really good one. Unbelief, yes, but it's more specific to how he's feeding them.
That they're
Numbers 21.
Oh, because they're tired of eating the same thing all the time.
More, okay, so I'm gonna give it to you more specific. They said, we're tired of this light bread. So the word in Hebrew for light is the word worthless. This
Were they
worthless,
saying it was
this
fulfilling?
worthless, tasteless bread. That's what they said. We're tired. It was the bread of all things. So we're tired of this tasteless bread. So the first accusation is a lie. Let me tell you where the lie comes from. Go
oh,
to
that bread tastes good, it said.
Yeah.
It was angels. It was angels.
go to Exodus 16:31. The lie.
16:31.
Yes.
It was with honey.
Exodus 16, yeah.
16:31.
Yeah, with honey, wafers of honey.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Podium's taking a turn for the worse. There we go. 16:31.
But you're saying they were spoiled too because they were used to having plenty and.
But they had more than enough. Y'all said there was more. They just ate quail till it came out of their noses a few chapters ago.
Right, but,
Well,
but they
even
always
if it-
go back to being in Egypt,
Egypt.
and what they had there.
Right.
And in Goshen was a land of everything
There was
they
a-
had, so. I
They
mean,
said this. So 31 says, make sure I get it on this side, not in Hebrew. It says, now the house of Israel called its name Manna. It was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it like wafers made with honey. So
You said
16:31. So they lied on you. You gave us this worthless light bread. Okay. So manna, when they first got the manna, they didn't know what it was. It translates, when they say manna, it's actually from a root word meaning food. They were like, it's food. So what was contained in the manna had enough sustenance for everything. It was more than enough of what they needed to be sustained. It satisfied their taste buds. It was good. It wasn't bad, because Yah doesn't give bad things. He says, you being wicked know how to give good gifts. So me being Yah, you know I can do a lot better than you can, right? Okay, so what does manna represent biblically all the way through?
The word.
It represents the word. And then, I guess, New Testament more specifically, what does it represent?
bread from heaven.
Who's the bread from heaven?
Yahweh.
Yahushua. You gave me this light bread. So now you see the complaint where they're thinking right now, we just complaining, but Yah's like, oh, you are my witness to the world. And if you think my bread is light and worthless, then everybody else is going to handle my bread as light and worthless. Okay. So,
That's good.
right.
I see
So
where
what
you're going.
happens when you curse manna? Manna. What did he sin? What did he sin?
Serpent?
He said the serpents. What kind of serpent?
Fiery.
Fiery serpents. Okay, so the word, when we think of Hasatan, this is very, very interesting. We think of Hasatan, or Satan, or the devil, based upon our Western Greco-Roman interpretation that we've been given over time. So, he's ugly, he's red, he's wicked, he's evil, he has horns, he is dark and like scary, and he lurks in the corners, and he's not out in the day. It's always in like these dark, scary places. And that is so far from the truth that because you believe that, you actually believe in Satan all the time. You're doing Satan's works all the time because you feel like he's in darkness. So when you're quote unquote living in light, and it says that darkness has no place in light, you think that you're away from Satan. But actually, the actual word there for serpent is the word nakash. Nakash. And
Spell it, please.
Nachashash. And Nakash. And so it literally, I guess I'll give you a short meaning, and I'll give it to you in the fiery serpent way. But the serpent is actually, how it translates is learning by experience. So everybody keeps saying Satan's job is to kill, steal, and destroy. Abstract. Those are all abstract. Kill, how? Because if you don't necessarily die, like you said, like you're not going to surely die, then did he really like kill you? And then did he really destroy you? If he didn't personally destroy you, but you did all the things that he put in your way that were going to destroy you, all those things are abstract. So you avoid getting killed, you avoid getting stolen from, and you avoid getting destroyed, and then still end up ensnared and trapped into his cyclical plan to end your life. Right. So his plan is for you to learn by experience. In obedience, you don't necessarily learn negative consequences by experience. You get the benefits of just trusting that the more experienced one is giving you the right instructions, and then you walk, then you follow it. So your experience is walking in righteousness and walking without all of the negative ramifications of making decisions on your own. Satan's job is this, very simple, nakash, serpent. It is to get you to believe that the way that you want to do it is better. That's it. My way is better. I understand God has a way, but my way works for me. So I'm going to learn by experience. Right?
Well, I have a daughter, seriously, my oldest one, who says, I see how you're going, Mom, but I gotta do my own stuff.
Gotta do my own thing.
And learn by my experience. Then she comes back saying, well, you were right, Mom.
Right. Right.
Yeah, after you
Right.
went this way, now you gotta, all these consequences has come your way, and you're yelling for help.
Exactly. So you are really like literally. Okay. So the very nature of the serpent is to convince the people of Yah to follow their own ways. This can be accomplished on an individual basis or in large groups. To resign oneself to believing that the devil and all that is evil is represented by horned creatures with pitchforks or charismatic preachers offering tubs of purple Kool-Aid to like what's his name? Jim Jones. Okay, so, and this is why. 2 Corinthians 11:13 says, "For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Messiah. And no marvel, for Satan himself is to transform into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers, also as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works." So, his name, I'm going to show you this. So we get it to learn by experience. That would be the verb. Hebrew has verbs, mostly things are verbs. But the noun for the word nakash, it's nakashon. It literally means to shine brightly. It literally means to be shining. And it also has the same, it's funny because these words all go together. Serpent also has to do with hissing, so to whisper. So you'd think of a person that does divination or magic. The person is like whispering and speaking and doing these things, all these go together, but they portray themselves as light. Because what they're doing is they're enlightening you. They're enlightening. So the first sin has to do with enlightening. If you know anything about New Age philosophy, it all has to do with my own way. I can find my own path because the path is enlightenment. I'm learning by experience in order to achieve higher consciousness. Enlightenment.
That's what Eve did.
That's what exactly, because the Nakash, the one who teaches by experience and shedding light on things that are perceived to be in a dark place. Okay, so the reason why Yah sent a serpent now is because they were getting ready to learn by experience. They're going to learn a lesson about this light bread. So, next thing that happens, and Moses, I mean, he has his flaws because he strikes rocks and he forgets his place sometimes. But look at what he does. It says, and the people came to Moshe, verse 7, and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against Yahuwah and against you. They knew what they did. When they did it, they knew what they were doing. So everybody keeps saying, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. You knew exactly what you were doing when you did it. They knew when they were speaking against Yah, and they were speaking against Moses. And so he says, pray to Yah that he take away the serpents from us. See the prayer is? Take the serpents. Now, this is very interesting. Rabbi brought this out last night. He said, you know that the serpents were always there, right? The serpents were always in the wilderness. They are native to that. But what Yah had done was, now serpents, my children are walking through here. Y'all mind your own business. You don't bite them and let them live. You're talking about enough people to you're talking roughly 5-6 million people, and nobody had been bitten by a serpent. That's ridiculous. Like there's a few of us in here. We know a couple people have been bitten by a snake. So talking about 5-6 million people, nobody's been bitten by a snake in snake habitat. It's crazy. It's insane. So Yah does something very interesting. They ask him to get rid of the serpents. Moses prays because he's humble of all things. He's like, you know what? People are talking against me. They just told me they was talking about me. They asked me to pray for him. And guess what I'm going to do? Pray for him. He goes to Yah. And Yah said to Moses, make a fiery serpent. And it actually, I think it probably says brazen in yours or bronze. And set it on a pole. And everyone who is bitten when he sees it shall live. So guess what Yah didn't do? He didn't get rid of the serpents. People were still going to get bit. He said, oh, no. Everyone's going to get bit still. But when you get bit, look here. So this was kind of confusing to me because I'm like, wait, we're not supposed to have graven images. Why did Yah just tell them to make a serpent on a pole and then look to it and then they'd be healed? That looks a little bit like magic and that looks a little weird, right? That was my first thought. I'm like, okay, so I have to go back. Brazen. So I already have this Nakash thing, and I know it's a serpent, but it also has to do with light. And so bronze brings light to it because it reflects. So you're thinking people, it's reflecting light because you can see it from far, 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 far away. So I went back and I'm just giving you guys my process on how I kind of go through things. I went back to the brazen
altar?
The brazen altar. So why then is this bronze thing a serpent, and then this brazen, what do these two things kind of have to do with each other? So, bronze means judgment. So, the reason why the brazen altar is bronze is because when you offer yourself as a sacrifice, like Paul tells us to do, then you are letting yourself immediately be judged. And once you are judged and then you are consumed, you enter into the tabernacle. And then you can wash, and you can eat the bread, and then you can get the light, and then you can see the Holy of Holies. All these things are now accessible to you when you offer a sacrifice. Okay? But it's judgment. So the reverse of that is if you don't offer your sacrifice, and if you don't let yourself be judged, and you're forced to be judged, then you also get the wrath of the person doing the judging. So you don't get the chance of now cleansing in the water and eating of the bread and the shedding of light and the Holy of Holies. You just get judgment. And you're cut off. So it's different. So the the bronze serpent had to do with judgment. So they had to then, this is very, very interesting, they had to look at their sin. And the reason why he chose a serpent is this they learned by experience, I told you that. One of the curses that's put on the serpent in Genesis is that it would, the actual serpent, because remember, Satan is not a serpent.
Right.
He used a serpent to speak to Eve. He is an angel of light. He's beautiful. He's glorious. Yah said he's the most beautiful thing I've ever made. Beautiful. So he used the serpent. The animal allowed itself to be used as a vessel, so that's why the animal gets cursed. Right? Because everything is supposed to be obedient to Yah. If you look at everything around us, everything in nature, and I'm big on this, it's what I've termed observable evidence. I don't believe anything I can't see. You know why? Yah said, the heavens declare my glory, and it testifies of me. That everything here is still doing what it's supposed to do. So if I look at everything else here, I can see obedience. And then I can mimic the obedience of all the things around me, not humans, but nature, because it's still obedient to him. So because the serpent allowed itself to be a vessel, it said that you would now crawl on your belly and you would eat dust. So then Hebrew has poetry and it's humor, and Yah also speaks to us in ways we can understand. So because they said his bread was light, tasteless, worthless, pretty much they're saying your bread tastes like dirt. It tastes like dust. It's like dust and nothingness in my mouth. So guess who else eats dust? Serpents. They eat dust. So here, you serpents who've lied on me and lied on my bread, here's some serpents for you. Here you go. And what happened is, as they got bit, they naturally, humans, and this is me adding artistic liberty within the realm of staying in context. When you get bit by something, your first thing is to tend to your wound. You're going to look down, you're going to try to figure out a way to get the poison out, because the reason why they're called fiery serpents is because of the venom in their mouths. It was deadly. And so the first thing you would do is try to fix yourself. The last thing you're going to do is look up. So it shows you the disposition of people that died. I'm so consumed, and now I'm even more PO'd. I was already mad at you. Now I'm real mad, because now I'm getting bit by serpents, and I got this worthless bread, and if I was in Egypt, at least I wouldn't be dying right now. Like, you have the disposition of the people, and they never look up, because we get that he put the brazen serpent, and he said if you just look up, you would be healed. And some people did, but some people didn't, because they were so consumed in their personal surroundings that they didn't even bother to. Okay, so the word of Yah and following him will either save you or you will fall under its judgment. So Yah does not remove sin. He doesn't do it from the beginning, because he could have. He could have said, you know what, Eve, you guys sinned. Let me just take care of sin altogether. Let me not make a remedy for it. Why did he not take care of it altogether? Because he has a plan for sin. And you're going to see it again here. Why does he not remove the serpent? And then he puts the serpent on a pole? Because he has a plan for sin. Now this part got me. Because I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see the parallel. Serpent, pole. Okay, healing. I get the pole and I get the healing, but I don't understand why there is a serpent on the pole. And I can't relate the serpent to Yeshua. So I was like in this weird quandary, okay, I don't want to make up something that's not there, but I'm trying to make this fit. That was hard. So what happened is,
It had to do with judgment, though.
right, but it has to do with judgment, but why the serpent, though? Why not just the pole? Why? Okay, so I was like, okay, this is hard. This is really tough. And I'm going back and forth with myself. And this morning I woke up and I was like, behold, your sin. Your sin.
Sin is upon the cross.
Right.
He becomes sin for us. So when you look up, you're like, why am I seeing a serpent? Because everybody thought he was wicked when he was the only person that was right.
Right.
So he has to become sin for us. And then I'm like, okay, now I need verses, because I can't just be making up
So
stuff.
you go to John.
Okay, so Isaiah 45:22. turn to me,
Isaiah.
and 45:22. Turn to me and be saved, all you ends of the earth, for I am Yah, and there is no other. Verse 1. So they're not looking to the serpent for being healed. It's still obedience. I don't care how fickle what I tell you to do is to heal you. Do it. Because now you thought my bread was light, you know, like, this is bread, Kanye shrug. It doesn't matter. Like, but you don't want it. So I'm going to give you something even more fickle. You're getting bit. You have venom in your veins. Look up. And what you're going to do is you're not necessarily going to see the serpent, which is funny if you're far away. You're going to see the reflection from the bronze that just looks like light. Those people. You're not going to see a serpent. I mean, you're talking about a man with a serpent, millions of people. When he holds it up, you're just going to see the light. You're not necessarily seeing a serpent. And then it says, and then Ezekiel 20:43, there you will remember your conduct and all the actions by which you defiled yourselves, and you will loathe yourselves for all the evil you have done. So it's like, okay, look up, and then you'll see, and it's going to bring repentance. One of the things we get in the New Testament when Peter preaches at what we call Pentecost, but it's Shabbat, is that their hearts were pricked. Oh, we killed Messiah. Dang it. You brought it to our attention. You know, like you get that whole, oh, we sinned against and Moses, and now we're getting bit by serpents. The ones who recognized it went to him. Right? Okay, so fast forwarding to the New Testament. I think I have that on your outline.
14.
Yes, when he says, behold the one whom the one you have pierced, and he's, what happens is, with New Age philosophy and consciousness and trying to understand things, we often reject the simple things. There are so many people who have become non-messianic. Now let me tell you what a Messiah is, because that's very important. One, I just read you the verse. Isaiah 45:22 says, turn to me and be saved, all you ends of the earth, for I am God, and there is no other. There are more verses about God being Savior than anybody else. One of the things that we often get wrong in church is that we say, how do we put it? Yah died for us. Okay, I'm going to explain that better. God can't die, period. He holds the world in the balance. So when we get to, and I'm going to tell you what he actually says. When you get to Genesis, and you're dealing with Abraham and Isaac, and you get ready to sacrifice him, and he says, I'm going to provide for myself a lamb. So we think, okay, God's going to become a lamb and then die. Okay? What really happens is this. So we get this picture of this word, this light bread. What Yah does is, what he literally says in Hebrew is, I'm going to prepare a lamb.
Thank you.
Okay, so what he uses as the lamb, though, is his word. The word is tried.
Right.
The word is the thing that, because everybody thinks his word is a lie. They just lied on him, said his bread was light, said it was worthless, it was tasteless. You just lied on my word. So the whole point is to prove that what I say to do and how I say to do it is the best way. Don't go learning by experience. Don't follow the serpent. Let me put my word to the test. So what he does is he puts his word on the tree, because the tree is cursed, so it becomes, and tries it, and the scripture says the word, the seed, and the seed is the word of Yah. So he takes it, and then he buries it, and then 3 days later, it doesn't die because it's flawless. There's no decay in it. It doesn't change, it's forever. So when you call it light and worthless, you're tainting a picture for later. Okay, so with Satan, what you have is what we call anti-Christ, but it would be considered anti-Messiah, where it's not that Satan is against Messiah. He just wants to convince you that he is him. So that's where the angel of light becomes an issue. Because you see, darkness is easy to differentiate between darkness and light. What if you got light and light and they both look the same? So when people like myself say, you know, you might want to reevaluate who you've been told Jesus is. You might want to rethink about who he is. Because the Jesus you believe in seems to be anti everything that God has already told you about. He seems to want to do things his own way. And I only met one other person in scripture who really wanted to do things his own way and actually tried to carry it out. And he deceived a lot of people. And he got 1/3 of the angels kicked out of heaven. So if the Jesus you believe in is telling you to do things different, maybe your Jesus might be somebody else. Because Yeshua says, I come in my own name and you don't believe me. But if another comes in his name, you're going to listen to him. Why would he make that statement? Why? Because light and light, because some people don't think there's a difference. If I'm enlightened by Buddha and I'm enlightened by Torah, we the same, right? And I'm like, not necessarily, because you kind of do things your way and I'm trying to do things his way, and we're both supposed to believe in a power, but you seem to be the power, and I know I'm not striving to come after you, so this just doesn't balance out well for me. Satan has made himself an angel of light to the point that when people see Jesus, they're really following an angel of light because he's anti everything. And so one of my things that I often tell people because people say color doesn't matter. And color doesn't matter until somebody makes it matter, to me. If you don't make it matter, then it doesn't matter. Okay. But when you make it matter, then it matters. When you make Messiah white, then it matters. And it matters because of something probably most people won't understand it now, maybe later. When you make Messiah white, and he grew up and was raised in African Egypt, not Egypt where they tell you it's in the Middle East, where it's not on the continent of Africa, but it's actually on the continent of Africa, as well as everything else into the Suez Canal until they tried to make it like it wasn't sit on the African plate by making a land divide that wasn't there in the first place. So when you tell me that this person is blonde hair and blue eyed, then you make color matter. And the reason why it matters is because now everybody in the world believes that Jesus is white. So then when a Messiah comes, and he's not that, you're going to think that this person is the false one because he's dark. He's darkness. And then the one that comes white is light. But the one that comes white has given everybody the liberty to defile themselves and do everything against Yah. So what we get in this image with this philosophy is the light bread philosophy. It is, your way is light bread. Your way is light. Your way is light, and it's light in every way. I reject your way because anybody who's done an ounce of studying knows that there's no way in heck you get a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby that can hide in Egypt. So then what you've created is a light bread kind of philosophy, where now when an intellectual looks at this image of Jesus, they're going to immediately reject it because it doesn't fit anything. It doesn't fit. And so what you create, what church has done,
told everybody not to make any images.
Right? So that your whole
paintings, no nothing.
So you have this ideology that now makes people think that Yah's way of salvation is fickle, because it's so easy. It's just like the Brazen Serpent. Just look up, and you're like, look up. Yeah, look up. And so when a person says, okay, I'm sending a Messiah to pave the way. And that just seems kind of stupid, though. It's like, yeah, it might be to you, but you're considering it light bread. So what you'll do is then you'll experience the judgment, because the way that you want to be saved was not necessarily the way you want to be saved, because the people got mad. He didn't take the serpents away. They're still biting us. So I'm just going to be mad. I'm going to die, instead of just looking up. So people say, okay, there was sin. Why did God let Adam and Eve? And you ask all these questions, but I gave you an out. And you just won't take it because it's just, it's kind of worthless. I don't like that particular way. So now you get it. Yah sends the serpents and then gives them a remedy that they kind of don't want. But the reality is it all points back. So when you take a thing that Yah set up, such as the word being bread, and then you make it light, then it distorts the picture all the way through, so then you receive judgment. Can I get it? So that's the brazen serpent. And then we'll hit the next part, which is they're going to sing a song next. Why Hebrews, when they get in trouble, always want to sing something. So afterwards, they're going to sing. So we'll do the song at the well after this. All right.